we doing, folks? Your host Moose here on the Pitt Panthers Football Network as we welcome you to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana for the national championship game of the college football playoff, where number 1 ranked LSU will take on number 2 ranked Ohio State. It should be a great game of football. LSU playing pretty close to their own backyard, so they will have a sizable home field advantage, but it's a matchup between the 2 best teams in college football this season. They've proven that week in and week out, both 14-0, and they'll be taking each other on here in the national title game. And we're about to get underway. Of course, the Buckeyes coming off a 40-37 overtime victory over the Pitt Panthers, while the LSU Tigers were able to knock off UAB 55-30 in the Peach Bowl. It was actually a very good game. LSU only was up 35-23 at halftime, but then they poured it on in the second half and were able to pull away from the overmatched Blazers and earn their spot to play in the national title game here against the Buckeyes. And LSU will get the game underway. It's going to be Nick Brossette, the senior running back. He's got 1,400 yards and 18 touchdowns on the ground already this season, getting us underway. Burrow, though, started off very brightly here. Back to pass, finds his man. That's D. Anderson for a gain of 9 and a first down as LSU moves the chains. They had second and inches here. We're throwing men in motion all over the place, and Brossette very heavily utilized on this opening drive. That's a big 10-yard pickup as LSU was able to make mincemeat of the Buckeyes here on the opening drive of the game. Burrow finding his receiver out wide on a 3rd and 15, and D. Anderson goes for 20 yards and picks up a first down there as we get about halfway through the opening quarter. It was a great first drive for LSU, and Burrow picks up right where he left off. 4 touchdowns in the victory over UAB. 5 touchdowns in the victory over UAB for Burrow. He adds another one here as he finds Anderson over the middle for the touchdown on the short crossing route, and LSU draws first blood and goes up 7-0. Dwayne Haskins leads the Buckeyes out, and he was in an absolute nightmare to start off the game. The Buckeyes were able to had the script flipped on them. Remember, they had a pick 6 against Pitt in the national semifinal game. It goes the other way. Devin White, the linebacker for LSU, jumps a route here underneath and is able to take the ball back 33 yards to the house, and LSU just like that breaks the game wide open. 14-0, just 4.5 minutes halfway through the first quarter. Incredible turn of events there, but Haskins tried to not be flustered, but he was under duress this entire game. He gets sacked there by DeAndre Christmas to force 3rd and 20, and the Buckeyes would really struggle to get things moving here in the opening quarter. Haskins did have a man open deep, though. He was looking for Austin Mack on a streak, just overthrew him. He looked a little bit rattled in the early going, and LSU made sure they were going to take advantage of that. Burrow dumping it off here to Brossette, fights his way through a couple of tackles, keeps the chains moving for the Tigers as they're back in Ohio State territory very early, and it's Brossette running this time. Instead of taking it with through the air, this time he does it on the ground, picks up another first down for the Tigers, and they're deep in Buckeyes territory here as we moved into the second quarter. Burrow had a man to the end zone. It was a great throw there, looking for his receiver Yancey, but unfortunately he stepped out of bounds, and so LSU would be forced to settle for a field goal as they very nearly had a 3-touchdown advantage. Ohio State looking for their first score of the game, though. Handoff goes up to Mike Weber, the running back who's been very productive for the Buckeyes this season, over 1,300 yards on the campaign, and he gets a nice gain there. Ohio State finally gets into LSU territory, and Haskins just can't find anybody to throw to downfield. He's sacked again. He'd end up being sacked, I think it was 9 times in this game. That time it was by Rashard Lawrence, and so Ohio State would be forced to settle for a very long field goal from about 55 yards, and the kick, while having the distance, goes just to the right, and so they remain scoreless, and LSU looking to make them pay for it. Joe Burrow on the play action, plenty of time to set his feet and throw, and that is the throw of a number 1 potential overall draft pick. He finds his man, tight end Foster Moreau, gain of 29. LSU would eventually get stuttered on their drive and would have to settle for another field goal, but they're partying down there in New Orleans right now as LSU has taken a big hearty advantage in this one. And Haskins struggling again. He's brought down behind the line yet again. This time it was Edwin Alexander getting in on the party for the sack as Haskins is forced into a long gain here. And then 3rd and 11, he's brought down one more time. Incredible performance. Glenn Logan gets the first of his 3 sacks on the day. And LSU would have a chance to push their advantage to 4 scores here. Still in the second quarter as Drake Davis is found by Burrow over the middle for a gain of 15. LSU into the red zone now. Burrow's in the pistol. He fakes it, keeps it himself on a read option, and he's got first down yards, showing off some wheels and some mobility there is Joe Burrow for a nice 14-yard gain. Gets LSU to the 2, and Burrow decides, you know what, I'm just going to keep it myself. I can do this myself. And LSU gets their 3rd touchdown of the opening half. They push their advantage to 27-0. In the second quarter and would go into halftime, and it's about time to coronate the kings here of New Orleans, the kings of college football, as LSU looks like they are going to waltz to a national championship. In the first half, they just dominated the Buckeyes, 228 total yards to 65 for Ohio State. And, of course, the big difference came with that pick 6 on Ohio State's opening drive. Really changed the outlook of the game as Ohio State was playing from behind from there on out. And LSU, they looked to push things even further midway through the third quarter after Ohio State's opening drive stalled out. Burrow finds D. Anderson for another grab that leads to an LSU field goal attempt, but this time their kicker goes with the doink off of the upright, can't get it through, and so things will stay 27-20 as it stands right now. And Ohio State finally looking to get on the board. Haskins does a nice job, finds his man out wide, KJ Hill for a gain of 19, but the Buckeyes would eventually be shut down and would be forced to settle for their opening score to be a field goal. That does make it a bit tighter of a 3-possession game, or it does make it a 3-possession game, I should say, if they got 3 touchdowns and 2-point conversions. But Burrow showing off that running ability that he has, a little bit of a dual threat there as he goes for 19 to get them near midfield, and then he has another open receiver. Great job by Burrow just looking through his options. He cycles through his available receivers, and he finds Moreau for another big gain to take us into the fourth quarter. And Burrow finds a man over the middle. It's a great throw to Steven Sullivan, picks up 17, gets down to about the 2, and then junior running back Grant Grigsby punches it in from 2 yards out, and LSU is going to rout the Ohio State Buckeyes up 34-3 at this point, and you can see the absolute dominance of the Tigers. Over almost 350 yards. Ohio State hasn't even touched 150 yet. And LSU, the most dominant team clearly in college football this season, and they're showing that in this game. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for the Buckeyes. They did show some late fight here as Haskins finds Mike Weber. They're at the LSU 25 now. Haskins again dropping back to pass, and he does find his senior running back over the middle. Gets him to about the 11-yard line. Eventually, Haskins would decide, similar to Burrow, he's going to keep it himself and waltz into the end zone for an easy touchdown carry. But all that does is cut the LSU advantage to 34-10. Why, they elected to go for the extra point. They did try and kick an onside kick there. LSU recovered, and Burrow on the ensuing possession makes things a bit nervy for LSU fans as he does get picked off, his 7th interception on the season. And so Ohio State does have a chance to take the football back. Haskins does find a receiver over the middle, gets a nice first down. That's his receiver Benjamin Victor going for 19. But then Ohio State ran into trouble against his LSU defense. Haskins had a receiver, but it's great coverage by the Tigers there to knock the football away on 3rd down. And then on 4th and 5, Haskins doesn't even throw the football past the first down marker. LSU takes the ball away, and really all it does is gives them an opportunity to run a bunch of time on the clock. Ohio State, I should say, on 3rd and 5 here with 1:20 to play. They do get a huge pass to Austin Mack, who is away and will score a late consolation touchdown. But after the 2-point conversion attempt fails, Ohio State isn't able to get any closer than 3 scores. LSU recovers the final onside kick, and they can run out the remainder of the clock. And Coach Ed Orgeron and the LSU Tigers, led by Heisman winner Joe Burrow are the national champions of college football 2019. Devin White with the play of the game on that pick six, and it really changed the entire complexion of the football game. Once LSU took that lead, it was almost insurmountable at that point. Ohio State dug themselves such a big hole that no matter what they did, they were never going to be able to come from behind. Mike the Tiger ecstatic over that victory as he's tossed into the crowd. Nick Brossette, a great game for him. Of course, remember, he finished third in the Heisman voting as well, had a fantastic season. Dejection on the faces of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Urban Meyer, the head coach, losing. Will he come back? That's a big question mark. Joe Burrow, player of the game. He's an absolute hero in Bayou country. Burrow, spelled E-A-U-X, of course. And Ed Orgeron, the hometown guy, the LSU native, leads his beloved school to a national championship. Joe Burrow will be a hero for all time in LSU, and that's how the national championship game would finish. A huge victory. LSU, the champions of college football this year. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Coming up next on the Pitt Panthers Football Network, we'll have a season in review. We'll go over all the bowl games and just different things around the country, and then we will have a review of your Pitt Panthers seasons as well. So as always, hail to Pitt. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.